Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the general awareness and basically we are covering the medieval history. Okay. So in medieval history, that was the topic which we are covering. Medieval history. Okay. In medieval history, we have discussed so many sections so far, like the Mughal Empire, you can say Delhi Sultanate, like the origin of Islam and other things. All right. But right now, what we are required to study is that the Muslim introduction to Indian subcontinent. Okay, that is very important from the medieval history point of view. All right. For example, we can say if that's what the Saudi Arabia, okay, and thereafter that is a India. So Saudi Arabia lies in the West Asia, okay, whereas India lies in a East Asia. Okay, so Islam or the Muslims, you can say, originated here. Origination of Islam. Okay, so how these rulers came to India and how they established their rule in India. That what make us very curious about learning of Arabian and Turkish invasions. Okay, so now here you will get some kind of doubt that okay, we are aware about the word Arabian because Saudi Arabia is basically talks about the Arabia. Okay, we had also discussed these things while we were discussing about the origin of Islam. Okay, but what about the Turkish? Are they Muslims also? Yes, they were Muslim also, or you can say it was the sect born from of Arabians. How? I will tell you. Okay, so basically these two segments, Arabians and Turkish, how they came to India and how they established their rule. Okay, so basically in order to discuss the Muslim invasions, we have to understood the three facts that the first Muslim invasion was carried out by whom? Arabians. Okay, Arabians were the first Muslim invaders. Okay, followed by Turkish. Okay, thereafter followed by Afghanistanis, and thereafter followed by Persian. So not three facts but four facts. Okay, so that is the series of Muslim invasions. Arabians, then comes the Turkish, then comes the Afghanis, and then the Persians. All right. So this is the series of Muslim invasion, you can say. Okay, and it is a part of medieval history. So basically, we will only discuss about the Arabians and the Turkish because about Afghanis, Delhi Sultanate, and about Persian, Mughal Empire, we had already discussed. Okay, so it means that the left out ones are the Arabians and the Turkish. So let's start with an overview first. That's the overview. First Muslim invasion of India by Arabs. The initial Muslim invasion of India was led by the Arabs and their commander name was Muhammad bin Qasim at Halb. Okay, this historic event took place in 711 AD and resulted in the conquest of Sindh. All right, so basically if you draw the map of India, okay, like this one, this is a map of India. Okay, so basically nowadays, that's how the maps look like. Okay, we have the Pakistan here and Bangladesh here. Okay, and also we have the Afghanistan here, right? That's how the today's map look like. But in the ancient time, basically these entire area is a part of the Great Indian Empire. The Great Indian Empire. Okay, so the Arabs who were leading by Muhammad bin Qasim, when they attacked, basically they captured the Sindh region. That is the Sindh region, which currently located in Pakistan, but it was the part of Indian subcontinent, or you can say the Great Indian Empire. All right. So remember this thing. Leader name was Muhammad bin Qasim. The year was 711. He was the leader of Arabian army and they conquered the Sindh. They captured it. Alright. Thereafter, we have the first Turkish invasion of India by Mahmud of Ghazni. Also, you have listened his name as Mahmud Ghazni. Okay. Ghazni was a place, or you can say his capital. Alright. The first Turkish invasion of India was commanded by the Mahmud of Ghazni, primarily driven by a quest for wealth. Between 1000 to 107 AD, 1027 AD, Mahmud launched a total of 17 invasions into India, often under the pretext of jihad. Okay, so here let me tell you one thing. Basically, the Arabians were the founders of Muslims, founder of Islam, you can say. Okay, Prophet Muhammad, he was the Arab. Okay, thereafter, how's the Turkish clan born? Okay, so basically, it was born by the Septuagint. Septuagint was the founder of Turkish kings or Turkish kingship. Okay, Septuagint get separated from the Arabians and found a new clan called Turkish. Alright, and Mahmud Ghazni or Mahmud of Ghazni was the son of Septuagint. Okay, so please keep this thing in your mind. Arabians were the founder of Islam. Septuagint was the founder of Turkish clan. Okay, he separated himself from the Turkish clan, and Mahmud of Ghazni was basically his son. Alright, so Mahmud of Ghazni during the time period of this time 1000 to 1027 AD launched a multiple attacks, or you can say almost launched 17 attacks on India. Okay, for wealth, because as I have told you, there was a concept of raiding and looting. Okay, they raid the empires, they looted the wealth and go back to their place. Okay, for this he called jihad. All right, after them there is a series of invasions. Mahmud of Ghazni initiated his first invasion of India in 1001 AD, marking the beginning of a series of campaigns aimed at accumulated wealth and resources from the Indian subcontinent. Okay, so keep this thing in your mind. Alright, starting with Muhammad bin Qasim, followed by Mahmud of Ghazni, and then so on. Alright, now let's move forward. The first we have Arabians. Okay, so Mahmud Qasim, beginning part. Mahmud ibn Qasim, or Mahmud bin Qasim, you can say. Mahmud ibn Qasim was an Arab army commander who served the Umayyad Caliphate. He is renowned for leading the Muslim conquest of Sindh during the Umayyad campaigns in India. As we know that Umayyads were founded by the relatives of Uthman. Relatives of Uthman. Okay, Uthman was the third caliphate. Okay, the relatives of Uthman, you can say, overthrown whom? They overthrown Ali. Okay, and thereafter they captured the throne. So Muhammad bin Qasim basically served their army. Okay, he is renowned for leading the Muslim conquest of Sindh during the Umayyad campaigns in India. All right, so thereafter, when you can say when the suppose this is an Arab, when the Islam captured the Arabian land, okay, in order to enhance their resources and preaching of the religion, they started moving here and there. Similar thing was happened that they came to India, and when they came to India, the dynasty which were ruling the Arabian peninsulas were Umayyads, okay, and their leader was Muhammad ibn Qasim. Okay, so this is the flow chart. That was the Arabia. They moved to the India under the Umayyad dynasty, and their commander was Muhammad ibn Qasim. Got it? Thereafter, establishment of Arab Sindh. His military endeavors resulted in the establishment of Arabian Sindh and the annexation of the region from the Sindhi Brahmin dynasty and its ruler Raja Dahir, who was later decapitated with his head sent to the Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf in Basra. Okay, so basically what happened when the Arabians attacked Sindh. Okay, so Sindh was basically under control of whom? Dahir. Okay, Dahir was the Brahmical ruler. He was the Brahmical ruler. Okay, and Arabians were basically the Muslims. So when they attacked Sindh, they basically fought with Dahir. Okay, and they defeated Dahir in the Battle of Sindh. Okay, this leads to the establishment of Arabs on the Sindh. Dahir was decapitated and his head was cut off from his body and sent to Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf in Basra, who was the governor on that time. Okay, he was the governor of Baghdad. Alright, so that was happened in the Battle of Sindh. Thereafter, third part we have is the capturing of Arur. Muhammad ibn Qasim captured Arur, then capital of Arabia. Okay, making the first successful capture of Hindu land by a Muslim leader, and usuring is Muslim in India. Okay, so basically when the Muhammad Qasim was expanding his military endeavors into the territory of India, thereafter they captured the Arur. Okay, Arur nowadays lies in the northwestern frontiers of Pakistan and Afghanistan. Okay, Arur was captured by them, and thereafter they make it the capital of Arabia. Alright, and this basically marking the first successful capturing of Hindu land by the Muslim leaders. Okay, and this leads to the Muslim preaching in Indian subcontinent. Alright, thereafter we have the youthful conqueror. He was a remarkable Umayyad general who achieved this conquest at the young age of 70, following in the footsteps of Alexander by introducing a new faith and culture to the Indus Basin. What does it mean? Let me tell you. Actually, Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great. Always you have listened his name as Sikandar, or some areas like Sikandar Mahan. Okay, Alexander Great. He was only 20 years old when he launched his global campaign to capture the nearby areas. Okay, in order of doing this, he basically came to India, fought a famous battle of Hydaspes, Battle of hide a faces, which is also known as Jhelum battle or Battle of Jhelum. Okay, during this battle, there was a Alexander versus Porus. Okay, and then Porus was defeated and Porus joined Alexander. Okay, that was happened. So Alexander was only 20 years old when he launched this campaign, and thereafter they captured the Sindh. Similar thing was happened with the Muhammad bin Qasim. He was only 17 years old when he launched this campaign and captured the Sindh province. Okay, and this introducing a new faith and culture to the Indus Basin, similarly like the Greeks did. When Greeks captured the Sindh, they basically starting influencing their Greek culture over the pre-existed culture of Sindh. Alright, so remember this point also. Now let's move forward. Thereafter, what we have the Chachanama. Chachnama, basically you can say. What do you mean by Chachnama? Muhammad bin Qasim is mentioned in the Chachnama between 709 to 711 CE, when he was appointed by Hajjaj, who was the governor of Baghdad, Iraq on that time, okay, to lead an expedition against Sindh. Okay, Qasim was Hajjaj's nephew and a capable commander, and started with the mission to conquer Sindh, which was meticulously planned. So remember, Muhammad bin Qasim was only 17 years old. He was a nephew of Hajjaj or Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, who was the commander of Iraq or governor of Iraq, you can say. He appointed Qasim to conquer the Sindh for meaning of wealth. Okay, and then we know that Muhammad bin Qasim meticulously planned this expedition, launched the attack, successfully captured the Sindh, captured Dahir, cut off his head, and then sent it back to the Iraq. And that's how they established the first Muslim capital into the India. Alright. Thereafter, we have the Battle of Reward. It is very, very famous. Okay. Muhammad bin Qasim fought against Dahir, the ruler of Sindh. The battle, as we know, Qasim versus Dahir. So where did this battle actually took place? This battle basically took place in Reward, or Reward you can say. Okay. Muhammad bin Qasim versus Dahir, the ruler of Sindh, or you can say he was the Brahminical ruler of Sindh on that time. A Brahmin named Dahir was defeated and Sindh and Multan had been taken off. Both the regions, the Sindh and Multan, they both today lies in the current Pakistan. Okay. And Multan was dubbed the city of gold by Muhammad bin Qasim. Okay. So when he captured the Multan, basically he called it as a city of gold because of the gold reserves and other things they found there. So remember the details of the Battle of Reward. It was between Qasim, Dahir. Dahir was a Brahminical Hindu ruler. Qasim was a Muslim ruler. Qasim defeated Dahir, captured the Sindh and Multan. And when they captured the Multan, Dahir saw the gold and said it's a city of gold. Alright. Thereafter, administration system in Sindh. Okay. Administrative system in Sindh. After the conquest of Sindh, the region came under the governance of the Arabs, following a pattern similar to what Arabs conquerors employed in other regions they had subjugated. Okay, so basically what they did, the Hindus or locals, okay, thereafter the Arabians. That was the pattern they had adopted. So basically the locals or the Hindus, they will be in state services, but at lower levels. Okay, whereas the Arabs, will be in state services but at higher levels. Okay, that was their pattern. It means they will employ the local people, the local Hindus, so that they could have a better and efficient administration in the place. But their command will be in the hands of the Arabs, the top officials. Okay, so that was the pattern they had adopted while ruling in India. Okay, or Sindh, you can say. Thereafter, liberal administration. Scholars believe that this early Arab administration pattern was relatively more liberal compared to the later systems. This was partly because the school of Islamic law in the earlier centuries were not as rigid as it became in later centuries. Okay, so basically, when they captured the newly territories, they were not likely to impose the Muslim laws like Sharia, like Hadith, like you can say other things. All right. Instead of this, basically, they tried to formulate a mixing thing. Okay, it means took something from the local laws, took something from the Islamic laws, and then mixed them together. Okay, for the better efficiency, and everyone should be happy. That was their main plan. But in the later centuries, when they got some power, some of them were not in favor of the liberalism. As a result of this, basically, they become radicals. Okay, so you can say when the Arabians captured the Sindh and Multans, they adopted the liberal principle for the you can say administration of the place instead of adopting some other facts and figures. All right, that was the main thing. Thereafter, impact on Muslim regimes. As a consequence of less strict interpretation of Islamic laws during the early centuries, Muslim regimes across the world were perceived to be more lenient and less austere. This contrasted with the stricter governance seen in later centuries. Actually, what was the concept behind the Islam? Two concepts, or you can say three concepts basically. The first is the worshipped of one God only. Okay. Second is part of community or ummah. And then third is concept of brotherhood and you can say communalism. Okay. These three things were there. Worship of one God called Allah, part of community called Ummah, and then brotherhood and communalism. It means sharing of the resources. That was their main concept. But when they captured the new lands, basically they adopted the liberal principles. Because of this, the local powers and you can say the locals of the newly conquered territories were not seeing Muslims as the lenient and less austere. Okay, so because of this, the top Muslim officials, or you can say Ummah and others, they felt that we should be some stricter and we should become some radical, so that people should adopt the policies which we are following, and thereafter they should start respecting the Muslims. Okay, that was the impact on Muslim regimes. Got it? Now let's move forward. Thereafter we have the historical trends. This trend is observable in the ease of various Muslim rulers, including Turkish and Mughal dynasties, which governed India from the 12th to the 18th centuries. Okay, so basically, what they did after conquered the Sindh and Multan, this thing was very much similar, and some of these things were also be found in the case of Turkish and the Mughal dynasties, which came after them and ruled India from 12th to the 18th century time period. All right. Turkish Mahmud of Ghazni introduction. All right. So students, basically with this, we have finished the Arabian part. In the next lecture, we will start with the Turkish part. Till then, just revise all the facts and figures we have discussed in this lecture and be ready for the another lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture and thank you.